You spent thousands putting solar on your roof, so you could sell power back to the grid. Now, in 2 states, the grid has started charging you to send it. Same panels, same sunshine. A new line on the bill that didn't exist a year ago. They've nicknamed it the sun tax. By the end, you'll know who's actually charging you, why they're allowed to, and the one detail that decides whether you ever pay a cent. Here's the machinery. For years, exporting your spare solar was either free or earned you a small credit. But so many homes now have panels that, in the middle of the day, the grid drowns in solar nobody needs. Between about 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, there's so much power flooding in that its wholesale value falls to nothing, sometimes below nothing. So the rule maker, the Australian Energy Market Commission, gave the networks permission to do something new. Charge you for exporting during that midday flood. Not your retailer, the network. The company that owns the poles and wires in your area. In New South Wales, that's Ausgrid, Endeavour and Essential. In South Australia, it's SA Power Networks. And they've switched it on. In South Australia, for example, it's about 1 cent for every unit you export above a free daily threshold of around 9 units, and only between 10 and 4. So picture a typical home with a 5 kilowatt system. The network that runs Sydney's grid reckons the sun tax will cost that household about $6 or $7 a year. Not a month, a year. Because there's a free threshold most homes never cross on a normal day. So for most people, right now, the tax is close to nothing. But here's the part almost nobody reads, and it changes the whole story. This isn't just a charge, it's a two-way signal. Export at midday into the glut, and you might pay a cent. But export in the early evening, from 4 to 8, when the sun's gone and the grid is straining to meet everyone switching on at once, and some networks will pay you a premium. In summer, Endeavour pays several times the normal feed-in rate for that evening power. So it's less a tax than a repricing. The grid is quietly trying to pay you to move your solar from noon, when it's worthless, to dusk, when it's gold. There's just one catch. Without a battery, you can't move it. Your panels make power when the sun's up, and that's that. Which, funnily enough, is exactly the nudge the system wants you to feel. So who actually benefits when the sun gets taxed? Follow the money, and it goes to the network business, the local monopoly that owns the wires, earning regulated returns on the grid it runs. All that midday solar is a genuine engineering headache for them, and charging for it is cheaper than rebuilding the grid to swallow it. But look wider. The evening reward, the whole two-way design, is built to get 1 million rooftops storing power at noon and releasing it at the peak, because that's what the grid most needs and can least supply. So the household with a battery can play the system and come out ahead. The household without one just wears a small charge for the crime of owning solar that produces at the wrong time of day. Nothing here is illegal and none of it is hidden. It's a price signal doing what price signals do, rewarding the behavior the system wants and quietly charging the behavior it doesn't. So here's what's worth knowing, and none of it is advice. First, the detail that matters most, the free daily threshold. Most homes export under it on a normal day, so most people are paying little or nothing right now. Check your latest bill for a two-way or export tariff line and see for yourself. Second, this is only live in New South Wales and South Australia so far. The rest of the country is being moved across between now and 2028, and in many areas you can still opt out until then, so it's worth asking your retailer where you stand. And third, if you do have a smart meter, the power you export late in the day is now worth more than the power you export at noon. What you do with that is your call and your circumstances. The point is simply to see the signal that's now sitting in your bill. So here's the check. If you've got solar, dig out your last bill and look for an export or two-way charge. Did you find one? What state are you in? Tell me below, because the rollout is patchy and the comments are the best map of where it's actually landed. And if there's another line on your bill you want decoded, that's where I pick the next one.